So in Chapter 8, we're going to be making and analyzing graphs, comparing graphs, choosing a good graph, and we'll talk about stem and leaf plots. This lesson, first lesson, is about making graphs and answering some basic questions from a graph. It's going to be a slightly longer video because making these is kind of sort of precise. They take a little bit of time. The good thing about having it in a video is you can go back and rewatch a part just to make sure you know what you're doing. So we're going to talk this year in 6th grade about double bar graphs, double line graphs, and circle graphs. A double bar graph is a bar graph that compares two sets of things. A double line graph is a line graph that helps show how two things change over time. And I want you to think about line graph and time being related. That'll come in handy later. And a circle graph, it helps you compare parts to other parts or to the whole. So first example, we're going to make a double bar graph of this data. So we're going to have the number of CDs in Vanessa's family, where you know how many Vanessa owns and how many her parents own. And we have 6 different types of music. So below the table here, I have 3 steps. First step is to determine an appropriate scale. Because we're counting CDs, and the biggest number is 14, we need a chart that goes up to 15. We want to be a little bit bigger than the biggest number, so we're not right up to the edge, if at all possible. So the question is, did I put enough lines here? So if the bottom line is 0, and the bottom line does have to be 0, do we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15? Hey, look at Mr. Noy having the right number of lines. Now, we do need to label this, but I'm not going to try to squeeze 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so on and so on up here. That would be a lot. I think if we label every third line, so line 1, line 2, if we go up and label line 3, 4, 5, label line 6, 7, 8, label line 9, 10, 11, label line 12, 13, 14, label line 15. I think that's enough. I don't think we need to label every single one. Your writing would have to be very small and very cramped at that point, and we don't want to do that. So there we go. We have determined an appropriate scale. We can count by 1. Title the graph and label the axes. The title goes above the graph. And the title is the title of the table. So above the graph, we need to write, and I'm not going to write out the word number. I'm lazy. Number of CDs in Vanessa's family. Yes, I've shortchanged a lot of that, and you may as well, but we do need a title. Labels for the bottom should be the types of CDs. And the overall label for the bottom should be something like music type. So what we're going to do is down here, we're going to put, at the very bottom, we're going to put music type. And spaced out as evenly as we can, we're going to put these 6 types of music. So we're going to do oldies, rock, country, pop, jazz, if I can write an Z, and classical. And you can see I abbreviated some of those, and that's okay. Along the left side, we put the numbers already, 0, 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15. And the overall label should be number of CDs. So turn your paper, because oftentimes words on the side are sideways. So number of CDs. Now, we need to include a quick key here. I'm going to use two colors because we have to talk about Vanessa and her parents. So I'm going to use purple for Vanessa and gold for her parents. And you should include a key like this on your table so that I know what's what. I would strongly recommend you use multiple colors. 2 is good. So now I'm just going to slide this up so I can see my numbers. Here we go. Vanessa has 1 oldies CD. So above oldies, I'm going to put a purple bar that goes up to 1. You don't have to fill the bars in like I am, and I'm not going to do it on the big bars. And by big bars, her parents have 10 oldies CDs. So we have to put a gold bar up to 10 on oldies. I'm not going to fill that in completely. That would take way too long. I'm just going to sketch it in real fast. Good enough. Notice how in oldies, I do let those bars touch. I will leave a gap now, and we'll switch back to purple for Vanessa, and we'll do rock. So Vanessa has 12 rock CDs. So above rock and our purple for Vanessa, we go up to 12 and come back down. And yeah, I'm a little over, but again, I'm drawing on an iPad screen. It's a little difficult to, get that dead on. Switch over to my gold. Her parents have 6. So I'm just going to slap down a bar that goes up to 6 and color that in gold. And now we're just going to switch back and forth between the colors as we go across. Vanessa has 14 country CDs. So bar almost to the top of the graph. Again, I'm a little over where 14 is, but that's because I'm drawing on an iPad screen. I do expect you to do better because pencil on paper, you can be a bit more exact. Her parents only have 2. So that's a nice short bar. Back to purple. Vanessa has 9 pop CDs. So we put a bar up to 9 for Vanessa on pop. And then we'll switch to gold and mark off her parents' 5. So 5 is there. And back to purple. Vanessa has 3 jazz CDs. Back to gold. Her parents have 7. And last, Vanessa has 4 classical CDs. 1, 2, 3, 4. And her parents have 5. There we go. Double bar graph. Up next, double line graph. So determine an appropriate scale. Because the numbers go up to 54, the biggest number in this table is 54, we need to get to something bigger than 54. And to make sure our graph represents the data properly, we have to start at 0. So given the number of lines I have here, we're going to start at 0, and we're going to count by 10s on the side here. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, so that we get above 54. Title of the graph. Source of music sales. Remember, it's the title of the table. Put labels on the axes. Well, years will always go on the bottom. And we've got 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004. So we'll do 2000 on the far left, 2001, 2002, 2003, and 2004. The side I've already numbered. Its label is percent. Plot one line. Plot the percentages for the music store and connect those points. Again, since this is a double thing, I'm going to use two colors. Here, I think I'll use red and blue. So I'm going to do music store in red. So in 2000, the music store had 42%. So 42% is a bit over the line. That's a bit more than a bit. You'll have to bear with me here. Again, working on an iPad screen can be a little challenging. In 2001, it went up a little bit to 43%. In 2002, it went down to 37%. So that's going to be under 40. In 2003, it went down to 33%. I need to do that a smidgen higher, actually. Because in 2004, it went down again to 32%. So that's plotting our points, and now we're going to connect these, sticking with the same color. Your connections will be a bit clearer, nicer. Again, I'm drawing on an iPad screen. It doesn't like to do straight lines. I'm going to switch colors now, actually, real fast. While I had my red, I should probably mark that a red line represents the music store. And I'm going to switch into a different color. I'm going to do blue. And this will be other source. And you can use the exact same colors you used for the bar chart above. You do not have to use 30 different colors. Since I'm on an iPad and changing colors for me just means clicking a button, that's why I'm switching so much. So in 2000, other source is 41%, which is just a little less than music store. So we've got to put it just under. And in 2001, it is again just under. So we put our blue dot just under the red dot. Now in 2002, it jumps up to 51%. So that's going to be just over 50. In 2003, it's 53%, so a little higher still. And in 2004, it's 54%, so a little higher still. Connect those. Again, your lines will be straighter than mine. I'm limited by the fact that I'm writing on an iPad. And there's our double line chart. And you can see all of the steps here. We plotted one line using the red, we plotted one using blue, and we made a key. So there's a double line chart. So what's this show us? It shows us in general that sales at music stores are decreasing over time, whereas other sources are increasing. And we could say that between 2001 and 2002, these two sources exchanged places. In other words, that's when other sources became more popular than buying stuff at music stores. And the last bit of lesson 1, answer these questions about the circle graph. So on my video now, the circle graph is nice and colorful. I hope on your note packet, the shades of gray are different enough you can tell. So what percent of students like tennis? Well, that's just looking right at it and saying 12%. Compare the percentages for soccer and track. How many students prefer soccer when compared to how many prefer track? So when it says compare, they're saying give us the difference. So track is 20 and soccer is 30. So 10% more prefer soccer is what we would say when we're asked to compare the percentages for soccer and track.